Okay, so we already went over how to remove an image from a simple white background, which is just selecting the background, going to select inverse, and then selecting the move tool and moving it onto our new document. And making sure that the show transform tools is checked, you'll see these squares around your image that allow you to drag, resize. You can even hover your mouse over one of the corners a little bit further away from it, and you can even rotate it if you want. So we can resize it and put it there. And make sure to hit the enter key to place the image, or else you won't be able to do anything else. That's just what it wants to do. We also went over different colored backgrounds, such as this. Now, my magic wand tool was able to get the entire background in one click. So I just go to select, inverse, take the move tool, drag the shirt onto the new file. So we left off talking about an image where when you hit the select tool, it doesn't select all the background. As you can see, it's only selected this top half. So what you can do to add to this selection so that you can get the whole background is hold down the shift key, and you'll see a little plus sign appear next to your magic wand cursor. So right now it just looks like this, but when you hold down shift, there's a little plus sign that appears. Once you have the plus sign, go ahead and click on the area not yet selected, and it adds to the selection, making the whole thing selected. I'll go over that one more time. When you click on the magic wand tool and you click on your background, not all of it is selected. So hold down the shift key, and when you see the little plus sign appear under your magic wand, click on the area that you want to add to the current selection. And now the whole thing is selected. Go to select, inverse, move tool, and go ahead and drag it onto your new file. So those are the basics of what you wanted to go over. So here are some images. Now, as you can see, every time I placed one of the images, it created its own layer. So here in your layers panel, and if you don't have your layers panel here, you can go to Window and down to Layers. If it's checked, that means you can see it. But if not, go ahead and click on it so it's checked, and then it should appear either on the right, or maybe it'll appear on the left-hand side. But it should look generally like this. So each image created its own layer. When I dragged the skirt, it made this layer. You can click twice on the title to rename it. Of course, it's not working when I do it there. So double click on the title and you can rename it. So I'm going to name this Skirt, Skirt 1. Now next to the layers you can see a little eye. If you click the eye, it turns the layer off. If you're making a really complex collage or you need to move it out of the way temporarily to see something in the background, you can just click this eye. It'll make the layer invisible for now. You can always click again to turn it back on. So each layer is like this. You can name this one Shirt 1 and this one Shoe 1. If you're making a really complex collage with a lot of images, it might be ideal to name each layer so you can keep track of everything in case you need to click on the layer to move it around or turn it off temporarily to see something in the background. Now I know you said you wanted a white background, so at this point your collage should be complete. But just in case you wanted to change the background in any way, you can see here there's a locked background layer. See, it has this little lock symbol by it, which means if you try to do something like draw on it, it won't let you. So what you do is double click the background, just double click anywhere on the layer, like right here, and it'll turn it into its own layer instead of a locked background. new layer, layer 0, that's fine. I hit OK. So now it's its own layer. It can be turned on, just like the other layers. If you wanted to change the color, for example, you can go to the Paint Bucket tool. Now, if you can't see the Paint Bucket tool, that's probably because it's hidden behind the Gradient tool, which should be somewhere under your eraser or next to it. If you hold down, just click and hold down, you'll see it gives you the option for Paint Bucket. So now I have a Paint Bucket. Let's say I want to change to a very light pink background. So I go ahead and click on that color and then change the background. I guess you don't have to worry about that for now since you wanted a white background. So let's just talk about saving it as an image. So once you're done like this, you go to File, Save As, name it. I'm going to name mine Red Collage. And before you hit save, there's a format panel. Now from this you can choose what type of file you want it to be. I typically find that saving it as a JPEG is good, or as an EPS. You can also save it as a PNG, although sometimes that's not an available option. So for now we can just go to JPEG. That should work for any internet use for this image. If you want to post it online, on a blog, or anything like that, JPEG totally works fine. So now you'll see it has the ending JPG, which means JPEG. I'm just going to save mine to the desktop, and it'll give you these options. Usually the default options here are fine. I usually don't mess with this at all, so I just hit OK. So now my file should be saved on my desktop. I'm going to go ahead and look at my desktop. And there it is. There's my image. So that should cover the basics of what you were asking for. If you're having trouble removing a really complex background, for example, if I am looking for a picture of a red shoe, and let's say I really want this shoe. Well, it's on a really complex background, and someone is wearing the shoe, so it's not just the picture of the shoe. But let's say, for example, I had to use this picture. This is something very complex, and if you don't understand this right away, it's totally fine. But this is something that you might want to work on for the future in case you have something with a really complex background like that. So I'm going to open that picture really quickly, just give you a really brief overview of this one little tip. So here's the image with the really complex background. We're going to, the first thing I want to do is zoom in so I can see it better. So you have a zoom tool. It's probably near the bottom of your tools palette. Make sure the zoom out is selected at the top. I'm just going to zoom in so I can see the shoe very well. Now, before we begin, let's make sure the background is not locked. It'll be harder to remove it from the background. So just go ahead and double click and hit OK. Now I'm going to introduce you to the pen tool. It looks like this little old style ink pen. It should be near the middle or bottom of your tools bar. Because I know yours probably looks like this where it has two. So mine was right here next to the text and above the mouse. So I click here on the pen tool. Now it seems very complicated at first, but it's actually really useful, and it becomes a lifesaver once you know how to use it. So first, to practice, we're going to click once, and you see when I clicked it created this little anchor point. They're called anchor points. It just looks like a little square. And I'm going to click again anywhere I want. And now you see it's created a line. Created this line. And I can click multiple times and create a line, and then connect it to the original point to make a shape. This is how we're going to select the shoe. Now, let's start. I'm going to zoom in even more. Let's start at the very beginning of the shoe, right here. Once I click the new point, before I lift my finger from the mouse, I can move, it's like clicking and dragging. Move the mouse around to make a curve. So you can shape it to whatever image you're trying to select it around. So I'm going to shape it toward the shoe. Now, if I just leave it like this, where this anchor point has stuck all the way out here, my next point won't be able to connect very well. So what I do instead is after I've made this point, I hold down the Alt or the Option key, and I'm able to once again, before you lift your mouse, drag it, and then hold down Alt to drag it back to your point. This takes a lot of practice, I know, but once you get used to it, it's just really great. So once again, I'm clicking, dragging the pen tool so that it curves around the curve of the shoe, and then I hold down Alt or Option to drag this point back to the original so that I don't have to start again from way out there. And you can make this, just keep going, keep practicing, curve around, hold down Alt to bring it back, click, hold down, don't release, move the mouse to curve around, hold Alt to drag it back. Click, hold down the mouse, don't release, drag to curve around the shape, hold Alt to drag it back. Click, hold down the mouse, don't release, curve around, hold down Alt to bring this wacky point out here back to the original. Click, don't release, hold down your mouse, move it back and forth to the shape you prefer. See how much you can curve it and shape it? Since the heel's pretty straight, I can just keep it straight. Hold down Alt to bring it back, and now you can release. Click another point, hold down the mouse, don't release. Move the mouse to curve the way you see fit. Before you release the mouse, hold down Alt, drag it back. Now you can release the mouse. Click another point, hold down the mouse, drag to where you see fit, hold down Alt to bring this wacky guy back here, and release. Hopefully that explains it a little bit. And with this, you're able to, make a selection just around the shoe so you can remove it completely from its very complex background. And I'm even going to cut it off from the foot of the person wearing it, so I just get the shoe. So once again, I click, hold down the mouse, drag, hold down Alt to drag this back to the original point, and then release. Click, drag, Alt, release. And now I'm all the way back to the very first point I made. And if you notice, once I hover over the very first point, there's a little circle that appears next to the pen tool on my cursor. Circle. That means it's going to complete the shape. So I click it, and now it is complete. I'm going to zoom out a little bit. And now you can see that I've made this rough line around the shoe. Now, right-click inside the shape you just made. So I'm right-clicking on the shoe. And I'm going to go down to Make Selection. This is almost like selecting it with the Magic Wand tool. And from here, you know what to do from here. You click on the Move tool, and now you can drag that shoe onto your file. And now you have just the shoe. I know that sounds very complicated at first, and like I said, you probably don't have to worry about that for a while. But just in case every once in a while you get a background that you just can't use the Magic Wand tool to get rid of, there's just so much going on, it might be a little bit faster to learn how to use the pen tool and just draw the shape around the shoe, and you can cut it out that way. So once again, just to review, click your new point. Before you release your mouse while you're still holding down your finger on the mouse, you can drag it to make a curve either way, in, out, straight, up, down, any way you want, and then Once again, before you release, hold down